25 sleeves of Christmas.
I was trying to think of a cool one for this movie, a little sci-fi. 25 Slaves of Christmas. I couldn't think of it fast enough. 25 slaves. No, I got nothing. It's
Sleigh 11.
Sleigh 11. We reach back into the bowels of history, into I think this is the oldest movie we've watched.
Oh, most definitely.
Most definitely. I don't think that was even in question. I believe that it was 1964. It was 60 something. I want to say 63, 64. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Oh boy, this is a wild movie.
And I'm realizing now we didn't tell anybody where you can watch Jack Frost. It's free all the places you can watch it, but don't worry about it.
Remember, we didn't recommend that movie, but so it makes sense that we didn't tell them where it would be.
It makes sense to tell you where it's at now, because you can find that movie in the same places you can find Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which, usually we wait till the end of the episode, but we're here now. So
we're here now.
Both Jack Frost and Santa Claus Conquers the Martians for free on Tubi, on Vudu with ads, and I believe they're both on Amazon Prime as well.
Nice. I actually chose to watch it on YouTube. That's where they had a bunch on there. Actually,
so that's a good little transition. This movie's in the public domain, so I was like, okay, cool. That makes sense. Why this is another one you just kind of see everywhere.
I think it would be a fun movie for somebody to remake, actually, these days.
I was thinking the same thing, and this was another one that I was like, as I was watching it, I feel like I'm gonna fall into this bad habit of remaking public domain films. I could see how I would do it when I was watching. I was like, if this would be a fun one to do too. I mean, you got aliens, you've got robots, you've got Santa Claus. So I think I had like 2 notes on this movie to like remember 2 talking points. I was like, one guy in the whole movie has a mustache, and it's the villain. It's like this is definitely some like old school shit. It's like the one villain in the movie has a mustache. It's like, well, he's the bad guy with his fucking bandito stash. My other note is that I don't think I've ever seen a cheekier version of Santa Claus. He is such a cheeky little bastard in this fucking movie. Like,
he really is there.
I honestly loved Santa Claus in this movie so much. Just like from his very like the first time he shows up, like he does a little like he's like Bugs Bunny. He's like a Looney Tune. I mean, like he does the thing when they like freeze Mrs. Claus and the Martians first show up. They freeze Mrs. Claus. They're getting ready to take him, and he does the little like he says something about like, oh, she's not going to be happy about this, and it's like, I don't think I've ever heard her be this quiet my whole life. And he kind of like he looks over like with a smile, and he looks over at the camera, does like the little Bugs Bunny like fourth wall break, and I'm just like, that's hilarious. Like, and that like the whole movie, that Santa Claus is like that. He's just so fucking cheeky about everything.
No, yeah, I liked it when he's
never afraid. He maintains that holly jolliness.
Well, when the villain guy's trying to push him out that space hatch, and then they come out the room, and he's like, "How'd you get out there?" And they're like, "Oh, the little air duct." And he's like, "It's so small. How'd you get down that?" And he's like, "I'm Santa Claus."
Yeah, right.
like he's like, "Hell, the hell!" Like he's like, "Yeah, I can't reveal it."
He seems so sarcastic in the most like in the kindest of ways, in the jolliest of ways. He's so sarcastic in this movie, and so
they nailed the Santa Claus.
Oh my god, I loved it. Like he didn't falter from it, like not once. Like he was never once worried. And I don't know, like if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if the 2 movies are connected or not, but there's another movie that I believe is just called Santa Claus that came out around the same time period, where Santa fights Satan.
Oh really?
And so I think this was like a thing for a minute, where Santa Claus was like this
badass,
this like hero in these sci-fi movies and stuff, which like I'm kind of here for it after what I just saw, because honestly, coming off of Jack Frost, and I was like, well, Jack Frost is a 3 for me. And I started up this movie and I'm like, this might be a 4, and like, but then it like kept going and I'm like, oh, I don't know, like it started to really like grow on me as it went along. And because I was watching it with ads, it stopped every 20 minutes. And maybe that's why it felt this way, but it was one of those things where it felt like the movie was getting ready to end like 4 different times, and then there was so much more left. They go on a whole other fucking adventure after that. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't mind, but okay.
Yeah. You think that's done when they're trying to get off the spaceship, and it's like, no, we're gonna be on Mars for a second now, and
yeah, it felt like a very long hour and 20-minute movie.
yes, it definitely did. I think it's just because of how old it was, but I did enjoy the fight scenes. They remind me of like the fucking classic Batman show and stuff like that a little bit.
Star Trek, but yes, yeah.
Well, Star Trek too, just like one person all up in the camera side, just like you know, just like punching like that.
Yeah.
One funny thing that I did notice though, that I just thought was, I don't know, out there was just like, I don't the Martians talking and just perfect English and stuff. Don't worry, kids, we have little kids on our planet too and stuff like that. Like,
I know exactly what you mean, because there were times where they said things and I was like, would a Martian say that? Would a Martian know what that is? That seems like a very human thing, especially for like, but at the same time, like they seem very well versed in human culture. You know, they seem to, well,
they do, but it's just weird.
I guess that was another thing. I guess they both were and were not. Like they seem to know a bunch about human culture, but then at the same time, they're like, "What's Christmas? Who's Santa Claus?"
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of how they won at the end, wasn't it? Wasn't he like, "You can go back and take the kids back to Earth as long as you stop giving presents on Mars," or something like? Because wasn't that other good Martian dude giving out gifts and shit or something like that, or he was doing something?
Yeah, well, yeah, the one, the doofy one throughout the whole movie ended up being like Mars is Santa Claus, and Santa's like, "See, you don't need me. Like, you got your own Santa Claus." And they're like, "Yeah, we do." And then he's like, "All right, kids, let's get the fuck out of here." he did that. He literally like turned to the kids. He's like, "Let's scram!" Like, and they took off. He's like, "I got a rocket. Let's get the fuck out of here." And because I think he turns around and he says, "If we leave now, we can make it in time for our own Christmas," or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, let's get the fuck out of here. I'm done with Mars for the day.
It's fun. It's a fun movie, man. Like on the real, and like I said, yeah, it would be really fun for somebody to take that movie and just be like, "Fuck it," and just remake it today.
I could see where you could honestly just, you know, it wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea, but I could see where you could really, really make it into something great. And like, I don't know, especially with where technology is today, like I feel like somebody could make it independently to really keep that vibe of the old one and like really lean into those practical effects, like with the makeup and with the aliens and stuff. That also that threw me off a little bit, where it's like, because you know, with Star Trek being out around that same time and stuff, like, you know, they're capable of making them look more like Martians, I guess.
Right.
So the fact that they were just like half-ass painted green and with their like helmets on, that was another thing. I loved how fucking like you could tell, like other things you can watch, like sci-fi things, and you're like, man, like how did they make that? Like, you know, like that ray gun and stuff like that. This one, they pull the ray gun and I'm like, that's a plunger attached to like something else. Like that's the end of a plunger. And they're using it as a ray gun. Like,
oh yeah, no, I loved it. I loved all those. I loved that the little freeze guns they have were literally like those guns that used to have like the balls with the rope on it that you could pop, and they just and the people would just freeze. it's like they didn't even shoot nothing at them or nothing. That freeze.
I know. Yeah, what was weird is the one guy had the plunger ray gun, and he points it at whoever, and it does the little. And it like he freezes, but then the other dude has what looks very much just like a machine gun, and he just has the machine gun, like points it at Mrs. Claus, and it's also like, and Mrs. Claus. I'm like, wait a minute, so did just all of your guns do this? Like, is this just like, you know?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. It sounded like when I remember when I was a kid, you get those little air guns
that
had that ball that you could just shoot out. And that's exactly what that sounded like. And I was like, okay.
It's probably exactly what that sound was too. Like,
yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. Somebody's sitting somewhere and like, this is so innovative for the time. And here we are in
Right?
2020, like
The Martians
shitting
all
on it.
look like the Martian from Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm.
It did. It really just felt like Looney Tunes. I keep coming back to that. There's a lot about it that feels very Looney Tunes to me.
No, it very much so did. I mean, it was definitely like aimed at families and shit like that, and to be goofy.
Yeah, it would be a good one to watch, like with your kids too.
Yeah, I was with this one. I wasn't, like I said, I kind of just put it on and was watching it and doing my thing and cooking dinner and all this shit while it was going. Well, I think I might have cooked dinner during Jack Frost, but it was enjoyable. I was like, this is funny as shit. Like, why the hell? This is goofy. I'm glad that this one was added to the list, even though it wasn't very slayy, slashery,
Yeah,
or anything
yeah,
like
that
that.
was definitely one I thought about. I was like, this is a more family friendly week. It seems.
Yeah, this one was like we said earlier, like some may be a stretch. This one was one that would be a stretch, but a fun stretch.
Yeah, it's still kind of within the same realm. I mean, it's not necessarily horror, but it's
It's out
still
there.
a genre Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Now,
Different
if
from
we start watching like Die Hard, it's the only reason we're not going to watch Fat Man and put it
yeah.
on this list. Even though I think Fat Man could qualify, I think people are getting killed and Santa is involved. So I feel like that probably qualifies more for Slays than this one did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. Maybe it'll get out of the list. That's a new one.
Yeah, that one that
Like,
one's new, and we don't got none of those.
yeah.
Yeah,
We need a
again, not
2020.
necessarily a horror movie, but thriller, like a crime thriller. Why did it get so fucking bright in my room? You notice that?
Yeah, I did. I don't know why. You just lighten up the world, buddy. So what score are we looking at for this one for you?
For this one, I'm gonna say a crisp 6.5.
6.5. I mess with that. I was gonna give it a 6 out of 10 for sure myself. Like I said, I felt like it's enjoyable. Definitely very cheesy and old. But if you're into that kind of shit, definitely should check it out if you haven't seen
And if anybody's trying to get down on this remake of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, contact me.
it. Holla at your boy. It would be fun.
Yeah, it'd be a good one. That's where that 0.5 comes in, because I too
Right.
would give it a 6, but the 0.5 is the potential I see in it.
It has potential to be great. All right, man. Well, we got to slay on, I guess.
Slay on, Slayers.